Welcome to the Meat Game Podcast, where the bulls run wild and the stories last. Country boys, butchers, and cowboys too, running hard on the truth like we always do.
Welcome to another episode of the Meat Game Podcast with Brando, Fieldy, and Hamish.
He travels well.
He's not actually. He didn't get a start today, guys. So him and Stu are back at the studio. So it's just me and Fieldy today. We've had a bit of a road trip after work. We've driven out to Armidale. Fieldy drove the whole way. I slept half the way, and then took me 2 hours to wake up again.
and 2 beers.
And I had a beer and I came to life again. That's always the case.
Yeah.
Now, guys, we are at the Great Hops Brewery in Armidale. It's owned by Sam Martin, and his brewer David he's a brewer, but he's actually a butcher brewer. He was originally a butcher, so yeah.
We'll do a podcast with him.
We will do a podcast with him, yeah. So
he is a Retchy Tub.
From a Retchy Tub to
Damo.
Damo.
You said David.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Stu, sort that out, can you?
Oh, right, Damo. It looks like David. That's my handwriting. I'm not even going to edit that out, guys. Damo, sorry guys. He was originally a butcher. He's now brewing beer and doesn't do a bad drop either.
No, it does a real good job.
I sampled one earlier because I was a bit puffed, mate, from today. We had a bit of a day. We were supposed to have a nice, easy day, get out early, and we were going to be here 2 hours earlier than what we were. But typical meat game, it didn't happen that way. So.
A couple of phone calls later, and we're 2 hours late.
2 hours late, anyway. Now, guys, we have a very, very special guest coming on today. But before I kick off with that, I'd just like to thank our major sponsor, Icon Pack, PBSA POS Systems. Shed some light on your business with PBSA POS Systems.
And
our little friend, Josh Jamison.
Here he is. Bulletproof, idiot-proof, and sexy as fuck.
2 J's.
That's his motto. That's his 3 commandments.
3 commandments of his product.
Bulletproof, idiot-proof, and sexy as fuck.
And he's just come on board, Josh Jamison from 2J. So we thank all our sponsors very much. We appreciate what they do. It helps us keep doing what we're doing. So we appreciate all their support. Yep. Now, guys, we have a very high calibre guest on today. I've got Mick Crowley he's the managing director of the MLA. He's here at the brewery with us. Thanks for coming on, Mick.
It's a pleasure to be here, gents, and great to have you here in Armidale.
Yeah.
I've just arrived back myself from a week on the road.
Yep.
So having a beer in hand, doing a podcast on a Friday evening in a brewery, not too bad.
That's perfect, isn't it? That's very good, and especially at Armidale too. Like, how cool!
Oh, it's a very cool joint, very retro. I'd go to say, but very cool joint. We'll do a few videos on that later on, guys. So.
I might even try and get the drone in here.
Last time you did that, bloke ended up with. I think it was you ended up with blood coming out of you. Yeah.
Cuts on me. Stacked it.
It is an aircraft hangar.
It is. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I thought, how good would it be to have a drone in an aircraft hangar?
Yeah, so it's an ex-aircraft hangar. It's been converted into a brewery, and it's really, really cool.
It is cool.
So if you're in the Armidale area, come out and have a look.
Yeah, great hops.
You'll see it from the road as you drive in.
We've got Demi here.
Demi Lowback. She's
not happy about it.
I think she's done 3 or 4 podcasts with her. Now, she's a veteran.
Seasoned,
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
No peer pressure or bullying involved at all. No.
We're in Demi's home ground.
Yeah, definitely bullying. You didn't want to come on, and we said, no, we need help. We've got a big calibre person here. We need help. So
this is Demi's home ground, and it's also the home ground of the great man, Professor Pete.
Yes. Mick, you've had a fair bit to do with Professor Pete.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah. Well, Pete and I have crossed paths ever since we were students at the university, and Demi as well. We refer to the Intercollegiate Meat Judging Program in MLA as the cult.
Yep.
And it's a fantastic ground for students who are studying. They can be doing any degree, but showing an interest in the red meat industry and getting involved in the meat judging program has led to really getting a lot of students in the meat industry and following their passion and careers that have evolved off the back of their involvement. And Pete and Demi are both have come through the program, and Pete's now leading meat science here at UNE, and a lot of the work that we do with Pete and his colleagues in the meat science area is really focusing on eating quality, improving outcomes for consumers across Australian red meat. So a really important work. They underpin the grading system. We commercialise that through MLA. And it's a really great pathway from R&D all the way through to commercialisation and putting high quality product on the plate.
No, it's unreal what they're doing. So we've got you on. We're going to do a full podcast with you. This isn't just a location podcast. We want to do a full podcast with you. And we always start with, how did you get involved in the meat industry? How did you start?
Where did it all start, Mick?
Yeah, look, I grew up on a property 2 hours west of here in a small town called Barraba.
Yep.
And, it gets in your blood. My brother just moved home last year on our place to run that business, and I'm a partner, but busy doing other things at the moment, so I don't get back there too often. But I was really encouraged by my father to go and explore what else is out there. I studied rural science here at UNE, and through the meat judging program got a lot of connections and networks, but I worked commercially in the meat game for about 10 years before I joined MLA, and worked in a whole range of roles in the supply chain. So Elders was where I got my start. I was working in the Walgett branch in Western New South Wales.
That's cool.
And they had a meat division, and I transferred up into Toowoomba, and we were processing about 6 containers of beef a week through John D at Warwick. And I used to buy 375 pigs a week. And we were exporting the loin cuts and some of the shoulder cuts into Japan, and so the bulk of the shoulder and the legs were being sold domestically, but that was really where I got my start. And then got involved in a startup company called Blue Stripe Meats, and we built a factory in Tamworth, and it was end to end. We were buying livestock, feeding them, processing and portioning for food service and retail. I got back into the livestock game. I had a business out of here, actually, marketing livestock for the Ebor Beef Group. And I had my own
shaker.
I had my own meat export license at the time as well, and I did a little bit of contract work for a couple of brand owners over at Casino Abattoir. And I joined MLA to run the Meat Standards Australia program. So you take your opportunities through your network, and I stayed involved in meat judging for 15 years. So that was a really good way to give back to future generations of meat industry people, and a lot of leaders in our industry have come out of that program. So it's pretty neat. And I've had a range of roles at MLA, but so it's been a fantastic career. I've spent more than half my career now in MLA, marketing and R&D business, and it's really at the cutting edge of innovation and really driving demand for Australian red meat, both domestically and internationally.
So when you started up with Blue Stripe, obviously that was massive for you. Who was that with, and how did that all start, and how's that grown now? Like how did that give you the stepping stones into what you're doing now?
It's probably one of the most challenging and rewarding jobs that I've had, because when you're starting in a startup company, it was the idea of two guys, Toby Scales and Greg Chappell. Greg was involved in doing the very early work in the prior to MLA. It was called the Meat Research. There was MRC and the Australian Meat and Livestock Association. And they were doing the research that really founded MSA. So he was bringing in the MSA principles, and Toby Scales was up at Lakes Creek in Rockhampton working for Consolidated, and they set up the business. And the idea was taking control of the whole supply chain to deliver the most consistent, reliable, eating quality product to the consumer. So that was a huge learning experience, because I was given the opportunity to buy the livestock, to work in the factory, to run it, to do the QA, involved in every aspect of the business. And if the cleaner didn't turn up at the end of the night, guess what?
You're washing up too.
We were opening up at 5 and getting things set up for when the staff came in. And the beauty of being on the tools really early on taught me a lot, so we could do everything. And when we started employing staff, there's no greater thing when you're not asking anyone to do something that you haven't done yourself. Like, we were cleaning out the drains, we were checking the rat baits outside, and all the way through to supporting our sales guys in distributing that product. And it was running, driving forklifts in the warehouse and the whole lot. So
I love that. You're not asking anyone to do something you're not prepared to do.
And I think
that's massive.
And if you're working below that person and you know that they can do everything you can do, you've got that heightened respect for them. I think.
It's a great culture in the business.
It does.
We're able to do all the training, and if someone doesn't turn up, you're in there with them, and quite often it's shoulder to the wheel in those small businesses, and you've got to make it work and work pretty hard. So it was a really great experience.
But I think people respect you for being able to do that. Like there was, if you can go down on the floor with and rub shoulders with them on the floor, and you can do what they can do. They respect when you tell them to do something from a desk. They respect what you're saying, don't they?
And that was pretty novel at the time because we were seaming. So we were doing sort of 340 kilo carcass weight, tender stretch, HTP free, 120 day grain fed.
Yep.
And because of the size of the primals, we were able to sub-primal to individual muscles and then portion because you can predict the eating outcome with so much more predictability. But then that was a whole new education for different cuts, and they looked a little different. And selling the product in the proportion that the body falls, and there was certainly some challenges along the way as well. A lot of great learning experience, and you lent on people around you to help you. We used to sell I used to sell primals to Stockyard, who would take the product that we couldn't process here. Dealing with local distributors, dealing with people who are exporting that product and consolidating loads, and building a factory and getting it up to export from scratch. All of that.
That's
sort
a
of stuff.
massive thing. I've seen that done. It's a massive thing.
Oh, it was unbelievable.
I watched Throsby's
Yep.
build a factory. They were killing it Mudgee at the time when I started working for them. They built Singleton, and then watch the hoops they had to jump through to. Not only an export standard, but a US export standard was just phenomenal. It was a massive learning curve, and I'm glad it happened early in my career because it showed me that high level, and then everything after that,
Yep.
So it was, but the hoops they got to jump through was phenomenal.
Yeah, it's unreal, and you need capital in those businesses too. And Peter Howarth was the investor that came in and backed Toby and Greg at the time. So it was a great, really great partnership.
So we've got a lot of young listeners and a lot of people's going into butcher shops and like they're opening shops as well, and there's a fair bit of carton meat out there now. You mentioned tender stretch. Can you just tell us, like, that's just one different thing that a lot of abattoirs don't do? Can you just explain?
What's the difference between tender stretch, what we call tender stretch, and then the Achilles tendon?
Yeah, that's
which
right.
Is how they
the traditional hanging is with the Achilles tendon, and really just hanging the body straight.
Yep.
And before the body reaches rigor mortis, everything sort of just hangs through gravity. Now, if you hang it by tender stretch, you hang it by the H-bone. So we had hooks that would hang it by the H-bone and the ligament.
Yep.
And what that does is it puts the leg out at right angles. The hind leg is straight out sideways.
Yep.
What that does is puts more pressure on those muscle fibres in the hind quarter and down the spine, so that as the carcass goes through rigor mortis, those muscle fibres are held further apart and improves the tenderness quite significantly
like a rubber band.
on a lot of those hind quarter cuts.
Yeah.
And through the loin as well.
Yeah.
And
So big uptick in eating quality. So we were really following the science and delivering that commercially.
Yeah, no, for sure. And a lot of people won't know that, and that's perfect. You can't explain it better than that.
Yep.
But with the tender stretch, the biggest difference for the person opening the box and cutting it is a rump, yeah?
Yeah, the rumps sort of go a little bit flatter.
Yeah.
But what the way we overcame that was when you're seaming out and you take the cap off, what you end up with though is a beautiful portion size when you're cutting sort of 250 gram steaks out of the cap, and it becomes less of an issue when you're seaming. If you're doing a traditional rump steak cross with all the muscles in there together, it does look a little different and a slightly different shape. But what we also found was once got used to that, and the eating experience is so much better. It's fairly quickly overcome. So we also toyed with different ways of packing that product in the box at the abattoir. So trying to keep that cut face square, because what happens is that the cap can move a little bit as well. So if you put that cut face against the edge of the box and tried to keep it square, so you didn't lose so much of that first cut.
Yep.
So all of that sort of stuff.
It just shows how the steps, every single step is so important to eating quality, isn't it?
Packaging is massive.
Yeah.
Hygiene in the factories, the shelf life that we get in Australia is just phenomenal.
Yes.
And that just pays dividends, let alone the science behind the way we age each cut, preparing it to its best cook method. All of those things come into delivering that eating outcome for the consumer.
Yeah, definitely.
So would you say out of a tender stretch rump, you definitely want to go a rump cap and a roast beef? Or
We even went a step further and took the rump eye side off as well. So following that, it's not a huge bit of gristle, but there is a seam there that could just run the knife down, and then you end up with a really nice sort of smaller portion steak that you might do a 150, 200 grammer, depending on how thick you cut that. And then you've got the rump centre that we were either doing, for steak sandwiches, cutting it a little bit thinner, or doing a pack where you might have a smaller portion and a larger one, just to cater for different needs within the family, and slight different eating quality difference, which is quite remarkable as well.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And they were pretty big rumps, so it was actually good from a centre of plate cost point as well.
Yeah, no, awesome. So, all right, let's jump into MLA side of it.
Yep.
One, where did you start with the MLA, and two, how did you get to where you are now with the MLA?
Sure. And look, you've got to where you start is also really fascinating. When I was working for the Ebor Beef Group and trying to trade a bit of meat and doing some contract work, it was in 2008 when I got my meat export licence, and if you remember the global financial crisis,
Yes.
and,
Yeah, it was too.
I was trying to trade 65 CL trimmings into the Philippines, and all of a sudden overnight the US could land 65 CL trim into the Philippines $1 a kilo less than I could buy at X-Works. That wasn't going to work.
No.
And I've got a young family, and I decided I need a real job here. So I applied for the job at MLA to be the manager of Meat Standards Australia. I'm pretty sure some of my contacts that I'd worked with might have given me a helping hand to get that gig. And so I started as the MSA manager, and that was a time of fantastic growth for the beef side. And we're also working with the Sheep South Sea, developing the eating quality research for lamb and sheep meat.
Yep.
And so that was where I started. I ran that program for 4 years.
Yep.
I then moved to Brussels. So I moved
Brussels
up,
overseas?
Yeah, so I went to Brisbane from Armidale to take on the job, and then my boss encouraged me. She was I've had some really fantastic bosses at MLA. Alan Bloxham employed me. He's now the chair of Ausmeat. Michelle Gorman took over from Blocko, and she said, "Oh, you should have a crack at this job." And I thought, "Oh yeah, okay." Worked out where Brussels was on a map to start with.
Never heard of it. Let's have a crack.
Oh yeah, okay. Jason Strong, who's been a mentor of mine throughout my career, was already over there. I rang Strongy and said, "Oh, what do you reckon about this?" Yeah, you probably should have a crack at it. So that was a role, marketing and market access for red meat into Europe and Russia. And Russia was actually going pretty well for us back in the day, back then. So that was 2012 to 2015. I was over there. And we were working with our federal government, walking the halls of the European Parliament, talking about a free trade agreement back then, capitalising on new market access into Europe. And Russia was a two-tier market. It was air freight, tenderloin, cube roll, strip loin, into five-star, white tablecloth fine dining in Moscow and St. Petersburg. It was also one of our largest offal markets. Livers and hearts in particular, going into a high-protein sausage, was a bit like Devon, that sort of thing. So really cheap product. So it was a very diverse market. So I was over there for 3 years, and I moved back in 2015. I ran MSA again for a while, and then I moved into the executive team, looking after. Originally, it was on-farm adoption, MSA, and genetics, and consultation. So we work with producers setting priorities for R&D. And then I took on a broader portfolio looking after R&D from genetics all the way through to product development, automation in processing plants, objective measurement, digital ag.
Geez, you've done some.
So it was a very broad remit.
Wow.
So that was incredible experience. I was in the executive team for about 6 years. I actually stepped out of the business then in 2022.
Yep.
I was trying to spend a bit more time at home. My father wasn't very well at the time.
Yep.
So that was really great. And I was on the board of Herefords Australia, and I'm related to half the membership. So I took on the CEO role for a couple of years, and I just couldn't help myself but throw my hat in the ring to be the managing director of MLA. I was lucky enough to be given the opportunity. So
that job came up, and you've gone, I've got to have a crack at this.
Yeah, I did. Yep. Yeah, and the board were very understanding at Herefords. They knew it was a good opportunity, and the first 12 months was spent doing a new strategic plan and consulting very broadly, and we've just brought that to life. Kicked off in the 1st of July, and it's all about driving innovation for the benefit of our levy payers. But also, and that's driven by increasing value of the industry. So we get to work across the whole supply chain. It's R&D, adoption and commercialisation, marketing and market access, and we're well, as we can see with Demi and the skills that she brings to the table, and we've got another 285 staff within the company that are just so passionate about the whole industry. We can deliver some serious benefit to the industry as we look forward to where we need to get to by 2030, which is where the current plan gets us to. So it's pretty cool.
And in the MLA, what a lot of people don't understand about the MLA, you guys are worldwide. You've got offices everywhere, yeah?
Yeah, we do. We have about 50 staff that are based in key markets around the world. Most of those staff are locally engaged staff. We have a few expats that typically are the regional manager. And that's very, very focused on both trade and consumer marketing in international markets, capitalising on demand globally. We work on improving economic access as well as reducing technical barriers to trade, and then trying to grow our presence in those markets to really complement local production, to compete on our merits against other red meat suppliers around the world. And we cover beef, lamb and mutton and goat.
Yes.
So it's we have a partnership with Livestock for live export as well.
Okay.
So it's a very, very diverse, and we operate in a global environment. And so we do a lot of domestic marketing as well. And the bulk of our staff are in Australia. But yes, we're exporting 70% of our production. And that varies depending on species a bit, but we're heavily reliant on export markets. Very self-sufficient in production.
And we've talked about that. We've talked about that before, guys. You hear a lot of negatives about exporting that. We could not consume all the meat that we produce. You need that. That's why that export is so strong.
We wouldn't get close.
It is, and I think what it does as well is, our domestic market is our largest and our most valuable market. And it's really important to reinforce that the quality of our product here in Australia is amazing. And we also need those markets to be able to handle and add value to lower value items.
Thank you very much, Mick. We've talked about this before, guys. That comment that the best meat gets exported overseas. It creates markets for that secondary product, which we've talked about before.
We can find all of those premium products here in Australia.
Yes.
Yes, there's demand now. But because Australia is a wealthy country, processors and brand owners will sell that product where they can get the best return for it.
Correct.
And the domestic market is very competitive. So, and also too, because of where we are in the world, seasonality. When you think about a lot of the product going into the Northern Hemisphere, that really complements the opposite seasons that we have. So, when we get into grilling season here, they're not so much in the Northern Hemisphere. So, we think things can...
It helps with the balance.
The balance is a great way to describe it.
We talk about that a little bit already. Like Brandon, he used to work down south. In winter, where would he go with loins?
Yeah, well, I was working in Melbourne, Mick, for an example. So Melbourne, you're going to really struggle selling lamb loins in winter. So where do you go? Domestically, Queensland.
So you guys do it exactly the same export.
That's right. So the Middle East comes online, and the US, and Japan, China, Korea. We've got better access into the UK now, where the negotiating teams, it's government-to-government negotiations on free trade agreements, but the EU are back at the table. Southeast Asia's growing population's growing, household incomes. So demand is very, very strong. But domestically, we've got our consumers love our product. COVID was one of the most amazing social experiments.
You've heard this over and over again.
Yeah, it was so good. It was so good for the meat industry.
And this year in our we do a community sentiment survey, and we've run that now for over a decade. And this year we saw there are more people increasing red meat consumption than decreasing for the first time in 10 years. And the proportion of our population that is vegetarian or vegan is the lowest it's been in a long time. It's about 4%.
But I think I agree with it, and I think too, people are becoming aware from the internet and the health benefits of eating red meat.
So 100%. And most people who, when asked why they're increasing red meat consumption, was for health and for fitness. that is a huge movement.
Yeah.
And
So the carnivore
we can do
diet,
very positive marketing around that.
the carnivore diet alone has done massive things for the meat industry. It has, and shown. And there's so many photos of.
But
and we're not bashing the vegans, but there's so many photos of a vegan and a carnivore, and I know what
you can eat
physique I want.
carbohydrates, you can eat sugars, you can eat all these different things. You know, the one thing your body retains 90% of is protein.
Mm-hmm.
And I experienced that. I did 75 days on the carnivore diet, and I noticed your toilet visits a lot less. I thought there was something wrong. It's because your body you're putting something in that your body holds on to. All this other crap like breads and carbs and sugars and that, even vegetables to a point, and salads.
Yep.
It'll reject it, but it holds on to the protein.
But while it retained that, you still lost weight.
Yeah, because you're not eating as much.
That's right.
Yes.
You eat
Yeah.
meat.
You stay fuller.
You
for
stay
longer.
full. Yeah, but you eat meat
But
in the
it's
morning.
also, red meat's nutrient dense and bioavailable, so you can absorb those nutrients as you're saying. And I think the other movement is to whole foods, natural products.
Correct. Unprocessed.
Moving away from the highly processed stuff. I think that's where some of the alternate plant-based products might have missed a trick because the list of ingredients is too long, highly processed.
Because it's not a natural product.
and it's not
Meat's a
necessarily
natural
good for
product.
No, it's not. No.
And they've got the science now to back it, and you can't argue with it, really. Like,
So, I don't even know where I heard it, so I wouldn't even be able to quote it or anything like that. But what I did see was at one stage there was like 600 places doing meat replacement foods in America. They're diminished. That market, like that was a massive financial market.
Yep.
Everyone invested. Everyone done their ass. And now there's
Shifted.
like a quarter.
but I think Mick's exactly right what he said. You get those plant-based products, whatever they are, you spin them over and have a look at the ingredients list and they say don't eat processed food. Well, there's the greatest example.
They're full of numbers.
It's the same. It's got exactly the same list as what a Frankfurt does. You know, it's
There's numbers everywhere.
yeah.
But
It
isn't it
wasn't all bad either because when the Rebel Whopper was launched, beef sales and Hungry Jacks went up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They think what happened was when there's a group of people out and they wanted to have something quick, and if there was a vegetarian in the group,
They could still go there.
they could go
That's
there.
true.
So that was really interesting in itself.
That's a good point.
But you're right. I think it's just that list of ingredients, the ultra processed nature of them. People aren't going into vegetarianism without thinking of being very health conscious and doing it for quite ideological reasons potentially. But I think the natural food movement, the fitness and health piece, such a positive sort of.
There's so much information out there now that the people are aware of it now. They're more aware than what they were 10 years ago.
Yep.
And I think that's been the spike in meat sales. So.
I want to quickly go back to the export market and why we need the export market, why we do things the way we do them, is a lamb isn't just a lamb. There's so many different types of lamb. There's different gradings of lambs and beef as well.
Oh, correct.
So when you buy a farm, like a paddock full of a mob, we call them a mob, a mob of sheep or mob of lambs,
Flock of sheep.
there's different grades.
Yep.
And the same as cattle as well. You
Yep.
don't just, so we've got to find homes for every single one. Like your top end, we're not going to eat that. You're going to mince that.
No, it's creating markets
you've
for
gotta-
those secondary
it's gotta go
products.
overseas.
Yeah, exactly.
Is
Yeah,
that-
that's
is that
right.
fair?
Exactly right. And the beauty of having good global market access is
Yep.
we can position those products that mean they're not being dumped here domestically as
Yep.
well. So
Exactly.
and we can balance. You were talking about balance before.
Yes.
That's an absolute key point in that because we don't have a subsidised system here either.
No.
We have 25 million people. 30 million cattle, around 70 million sheep. I mean, we need global customers to have long-term sustainable businesses, profitable agricultural sector, so that food security, not just for Australia but our nearest neighbours, and providing nourishing meals around the world is such a fantastic position to be in.
Yeah.
And there's a price point for everyone as a result.
Correct.
So
Yes. Oh, for sure.
And their
for
cooking
sure.
methods, like you get your countries overseas, like Asia, they've got a cooking method. Middle East, they've got a different cooking method to
Yeah.
us, and that product works for them. They want
Absolutely.
lean, they
that,
want
that supports the balance, and it allows us to then tailor what we deliver for the domestic market in a lot better way. So
Exactly.
we have seen changes in consumption where mince and sausages, that proportion of the retail shelf has grown. There's probably less larger roasting joints being presented, but those cuts that are going to be better suited to stir fry or slow cooking, and the way we present that product has improved out of sight. But then those cuts that in the summer months there's less slow cooking, so let's export those to where they're valued into hot pot in China or wherever it might be.
So what about conical muscle? How many Aussie butchers wouldn't even know what the conical muscle is? That's right. And then that would be one of the best products to go to China, yeah?
Or any part of Asia.
Yeah.
But the other thing too, if that was getting sold on the domestic market, we weren't exporting it.
We'd be mincing it.
Which gives it a lesser value, which gives the animal to the farmer a lesser value.
That's right.
It comes back to you get the most value out of all the cuts by doing
And
that.
I think that's an important part when we start looking at operating more aligned as a supply chain. That's where we can deliver a value proposition to the consumer here, but also make sure the whole supply chain is as profitable as it can be, because the margins are slim. I think people underestimate how tight the game is.
And the last 10 years, it's got a lot tighter.
It has. Yep.
Oh, for sure it has, absolutely. And
our input costs keep going up. So
Thank you.
we import a lot of our farm inputs.
Yeah.
Whilst exchange rates are very favourable for exporting at the moment, it lifts the cost of production. So whilst we do see upward price pressure at retail, it's the cost of production continues to go up. And livestock prices have not moved as fast as inflation. And I think shoppers proportion red meat in their basket in real terms today isn't as expensive in real terms as it used to be. But it's just cost of living pressures are real. So it's coming up with that value proposition is really important.
So
not just price.
What you're saying, I can put that into butcher shop terms, right? So 10 years ago, the price of rent in a shopping centre was heaps lower. The price of super was lower. The price of the taxable income was a lot lower. So all them pressures and input, power for sure.
Double,
everything, fuel,
and then
insurance,
insurance,
fertilizer, herbicides, pesticides, animal health treatments,
vaccination,
and wages to put all that together to get it from birth to on the plate. The overheads are so much higher.
And our industry is also, like wages-wise with staff, is competing with the mines. It's competing. Doesn't matter whether you're a butcher, a bone, or a farmhand. You're competing with the mines.
Exactly.
And things are changing as well, because I think everyone's now really focusing on efficiency, reducing cost of production, but optimising production within the environment that we operate, because we are a dry continent. But we have seen a big expansion of the feedlot sector, and a larger proportion of our beef production is coming out of the feedlot sector now. We have seen strong growth in grass-fed demand domestically and internationally, but the proportion of our production coming out of as grain-fed product now has increased quite a lot. It's about 40%, and can get close to 50% depending on the season as well. We're seeing ongoing expansion of the feedlot sector.
So
it smooths out supply though, and consistency of product and creates.
That's the thing with feed. When you're feeding cattle, they've got that consistency there. Like I love like as a wholesaler selling grain-fed cattle, because they're the same every week.
It's easy.
Grass-fed. The hardest thing with grass-fed, and we grade and all the rest of it, but it's just that consistency level. Whereas your grain-fed, they're just peas in a pod.
Isn't variability one of the biggest challenges we still have?
Yes.
And that's one of the reasons that the MSA grading program is so important, because we can predict the eating quality outcome for every carcass and every cut that we grade.
And every grade. What I love
and then you try and
it's even got cooking, like different grades of cuts you cook differently. I love that part of it.
And we've seen brands evolve that then have tight specifications, and that's how we reduce the variation. Have those cuts of similar eating quality in the box, and then you can sell that with more confidence. I mean, imagine the butcher experience.
Even aging times.
For sure.
Different cuts, different grades of cuts will have obviously different aging times, but it tells the butcher or the punters that.
So how much on the let's go dry aging, how much dry aged product is grass-fed? I'm going to say 20%. It's only what's got enough cover on it to do it. Most of your dry aging cattle would be
Grain-fed cattle age a lot better than what grass-fed cattle
It's
do.
got
They're
that cover, it's got
higher
that protection.
fat content.
And I suppose you're also putting a lot of the dry age stuff into higher end retail
Yes.
or the food service guys that are
Yep.
that are doing it where they can get a bit of return back, a little bit of shrinkage with dry aging. But
Yeah. But they need consistency. That's why they go to dry. That's why they go to grain fed.
Yep. Yeah.
But I think so. Grass fed's come back a lot because of, like we said, about the health. They're seeing grass fed as a healthier option, but grain fed, I think, with what we put on our steaks now, what we used to do, it just used to be a bit of salt and pepper. Now we're putting so many rubs, so many sauces, so many marinades. We're injecting it with bourbon. I done with sheepdog the other day. I done a rump cap with a sheepdog. Oh, so good. And but we're injecting things. We're doing so much. We're adding so much value to that grain fed. It doesn't really matter about the flavour of the grain fed. We just want it soft.
Yeah.
And the grain fed's always soft, whereas the grass fed's always got so much more flavour.
Yeah.
Is that
and
fair? Or?
Absolutely, and I think that people love the story about natural production systems, and the challenge is just seasonal variability. I think people love producing and finishing cattle where they can, but we will continue to see dry times.
I was about to say that the difference.
The feedlot sector. So 2018 and 19 here
Stays the
were horrible. We've strung a few good seasons. I mean, Armidale looks a picture now, and northern
on
New
our
South
way
Wales.
out.
Magnificent.
You wouldn't know. You were bloody asleep.
No, it's
You're working hard, you guys.
All the way out, it was beautiful.
yeah,
But
magnificent.
it's not always like that, and so
Yeah.
you need those market options.
Yes.
Effectively.
Your
So-
feedlot cattle come out the same 52 weeks of the year. Your grass-fed cattle, it is so seasonal.
Yep.
And you see that also reflect in price a lot of time.
Yep.
Your grain-fed cattle, you know you've got a 3-month grid, for example. Your grass-fed cattle, it's just so...
It's day.
It's day to day.
It's what goes in the sale yard and what comes out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's the the successful grass-fed brands have really good geographical spread of where they're sourcing their livestock from, so they can they've really worked hard to address that variability. When you move up into northern New South Wales and into Queensland, the proportion of grain-fed production is high. I guess you're closer to big grain producing areas as well.
Oh, okay. Yep.
But we are reducing. So there's actually a big efficiency because you're finishing animals at a younger age as well. So it's supporting growth in the herd, increasing production without putting. We can still be really sustainable in that system as well.
And that grass-fed program, it's just, and in saying that, I've just complimented the grain-fed program, but that grass-fed program has come ahead in leaps and bounds. They're producing cattle now with marble scores off grass.
You bet.
How did
Now,
that?
10 years ago, I would have said that can't be done.
We say it all the time.
Yeah.
Hang on.
I don't know how they
How
do
can you have an MB2, MB4
Grass-fed.
Grass-fed. We
I
just
think
go,
that's...
what the fuck.
That's a
Yeah,
threat.
so Demi will probably talk about this a bit, but that's off the back of measuring everything and giving individual animal carcass feedback
Yep.
back to the producer. So then they're making better genetic selection decisions, putting more selection pressure on marbling,
Yep.
and that works. It actually works. And so that's enabled people to respond to that trend. They're getting paid for it through price premiums for different brand programs. And as a result, the proportion of grass-fed cattle at higher marbling scores will continue to grow, to go up.
Yeah, right.
I think it's unbelievable the job they're doing.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Demi's done a lot
Yeah,
of
come on,
work
Demi.
Because it's a lot harder than a
I was like, you didn't need me.
So tell us about that, because I think a lot of what you've just said is about that recording, and that's what you're doing right now. You're doing all the data recording, and you're taking it from, like what we said about all the paper and the handwritten into digital. Go, tell us about that.
Yeah, so the main thing Mick's talking about, I guess, is carcass feedback. So MLA had a program called Livestock Data Link, which has transitioned to my feedback. So all the carcass data that's collected at a processor goes into a national system essentially, and producers use that feedback. They know which animal it is because we scan the NLIS tag. They're assigned.
Those earbuds have
the-
been a game changer.
Yeah.
That's
So-
what's causing all this.
NLIS.
NLIS, National Livestock Identification System.
Yep. And that's the ear tags.
That's the ear tags, yep. So we know individually which animal it was and the outcome. So a good producer would be tracking how the animal processed, and those marbling scores are one of the things that are measured. So then they'd be then looking at them going, well, I know this animal was this age, based on its dentition and its ossification score, and its marbling score was this, which was good or bad, and then they'd be making those selection decisions on the bulls they're buying in, and EBVs, estimated breeding values, and whether those bulls are positive for marbling score. And if they're not doing as well, they'd be looking at bulls that have better
Correct.
EBVs around marbling.
So you can go back more to the parents of the
Absolutely.
animal.
Back to genetics.
The sire, I should say, not parents.
We're going to see this in sheep.
Yep.
It's already
lamb
happening.
industry is really going hard.
They're getting marble into lamb now, guys, and that's again from the it's.
We call it Wagyu lamb.
I've had a butcher ask me for Wagyu lamb, so it was.
Can you talk to us about that? I know you may have had dinner with a fellow last night that is getting very good marble
And there's
scores
a
in his
few,
lamb.
and what the starting point for all of this has been in the livestock producer-owned brands where they've taken more control of the supply chain. There are a few brands that producers own that are getting into that fine dining, high-end food service, and as a result of connecting genetics through to the outcome on the plate, they've driven some amazing outcomes. There was a brand launched the other week that is a 7% IMF and higher brand, and the mouthfeel of those loin chops coming off the grill was the equivalent of a Wagyu experience of a high marble Wagyu product. So it is very real, very achievable. At the moment it's quite small, but will grow very quickly because they're putting a lot of selection pressure. They found a breed of sheep that they're scaling up. That particular brand is being grain finished and controlling those consistent carcass weights and the quality outcome as well. We've got processes now that are rewarding producers for eating quality outcomes, IMF percentage and yield in combination as well.
Just tell us what IMF is.
Intramuscular fat. So it's the fat within the muscle.
That's your marbling.
That is marbling.
Yep.
IMF, guys, have you ever heard that? That's basically goes back to marbling.
The only reason we're not calling it marbling in lamb is that because of the chain speeds, we're using different technology to measure it. So it's measuring the amount of fat in the muscle effectively. But yes, it's the equivalent of marbling.
Yep. Yeah. And would you say like it's well, I won't say early days, but I think we'll be a lot further ahead in 10 years' time. Finish them on grain, are you finding more effective than grass in the case of marble?
We're still seeing the bulk of our lamb being finished in extensive grazing systems. There's just been an emergence of containment feeding through dry times, and then an emergence of feedlots. We will see more lamb feedlots emerging.
Really.
Because again, it's about consistency of finishing, speed to market, but also managing those supply highs and lows and ironing out the supply side to capitalise on market opportunities because when everyone's turning off spring lambs, the market can come off the boil and then there's a bit of a lull in supply and prices increase. If you're feeding animals year round, you can capitalise on those opportunities as well. So it's there's been a lot of conversations. We had this last night. I was down at Holbrook last night and talking about how to move away from such a volatile market conditions and consistency of supply and those partnerships with the brand owners and processors need to go hand in hand.
Yeah, so consistency of supply and consistency of price.
And we saw that 2 or 3 years ago.
That's off the back of having the customers lined up. So you start piecing together the supply chain, all of a sudden everyone is making money in the supply chain rather than the boom and bust nature of the way things work at the moment.
Yeah, and that's where forward selling comes.
Forward selling. We had a guy there last night talking about futures contracts as well, just to manage price risk. So we can couple all of those things together as we go forward.
Yeah, cool.
That kind of stuff's also still off the back of measuring carcass attributes from sheep carcasses, taking that information and then going back and looking at the rams they're buying and making those decisions around what's going to improve their herd and their eating quality. Correct. Yeah.
And the sheep industry is adopting the individual animal ID as well. So, going from a mob-based recording to individual animal, we can give individual animal carcass feedback. We've got a cuts-based model for eating quality, and then segregating that product into brands and
just getting more and more
reducing the variation that you guys see that you were talking about before.
What's it take to what has it taken from getting it to a mob calculation to a individual calculation?
It hasn't been easy because
it would have been bloody hard.
It's still hard.
Without so the states, for biosecurity reasons, legislated individual animal ID. Now, if you're not getting individual animal records, either live or at carcass, you see it as a cost. However, when you start thinking about automatic drafting, more tailored individual animal health treatments, individual animal carcass data, not just quality and yield, but animal health information, and Demi, again, has been driving a lot of the animal health piece, you start creating value out of having that data. What we've also then seen is the objective measurement technologies to measure these carcass traits at chain speed. I mean, we got, if you're doing 10, 12 lambs a minute, you need the tech to be able to keep up, and that's only happened very recently, but it's all been commercialised. So a few things have had to come together. Then when you start having a period of really high prices, the processors start saying, well, how do I capture, how do I differentiate myself, how do I create brands with more brand equity, getting closer to the customer and consumer, the whole lot starts to come together. We also then need better incentives for producers to put more selection pressure on those quality traits. And that only happens if, fortunately, our producers care a lot about quality. They already were selecting for quality. Now there's opportunities to get paid for it. So that it all has to sort of come together, not just having one particular tech. You've got to have the value proposition and the pull-through demand coming from the buy side.
The tech's been a hard one for the sheep industry, obviously, because we're not splitting carcasses, so we don't have access to that loin eye in sheep. So they've had to develop technology that you can just probe into the loin eye to give you those outputs.
Oh, correct. You can't see the eye.
Because cattle are split down the middle, and then we...
First thing to check for MSA is you'll quarter them, and then that's your...
That's right.
Sheep aren't
they're
split,
they're just blowing past you through the chiller. You've got to be moving pretty quick.
And I have this argument with butchers all the time. They say, I cut it up and this was wrong. I said, but I couldn't see that when I graded it.
You get to put a knife to it. We don't.
We do.
You think about when you're portioning strip loins.
Exactly.
You get to that, you can have a bit of fat on them. But also on sheep, there's been some challenges. Like you got to have the tech that can read those tags, and you miss a few, and then you can get things out of order, and so there's a few things still.
To put it into perspective, we're talking abattoirs are doing what? Well, you said what? 10 a minute. That's a lot of sheep a day. That's massive. That'll be very hard to keep up.
It's a lot faster moving than cattle, isn't it?
Exactly.
Cattle,
It is, and
especially
it's all about
on a processing floor.
And to make the processing plants work well and profitably, they have to be efficient.
That's right.
And so you don't want any spare hooks. You don't want too many changeovers. You want things absolutely humming. But they've adopted. There's been a big uptake in automation in boning. So a lot of the abattoirs now, particularly in small stock, will have robots doing those key cutting lines into the bulk primals.
I've seen a few of them.
And it is
they're cool.
It's pretty neat. It's increasing shelf life because you've got less bone dust because they're using the circular disc saws, less people handling the product,
less touch.
Yield improvements. Because just that cutting line between the shoulder and the loin and the rack is a very significant part of the payback. Just by making sure what's meant to be on the rack is on the rack.
100%.
There's no human error.
If you're a bit naughty, you'll cut a 3-rib 4/4. If you're not the greatest butcher, you'll cut a 5-rib 4/4. You want to hit it between the 4.
But even
that's
cutting
right.
lines.
So accuracy of cutting line is huge.
Cutting line accuracy. It's using lasers. A lot of them use lasers. Their cutting lines are bang on every time. Doesn't matter the different size animal or what it is. It's using laser and it just hits the same spot every time. Humans can't do that.
That's like me breaking a lamb brander. I broke 5 lambs the other day. I broke 5 lambs.
5 were good. He actually broke 6, and 5 were good, and 1 was bad. That's the example. Whereas a robot won't miss. It's like AI. It doesn't miss.
It runs. We've got a lot of them now running off an X-ray system. And it'll you can pick up and off the back of that we can then do lean, bone, and fat. Very accurate lean meat yield.
Wow.
Give that feedback back to producers as well. Find the animals that are good on both quality and yield. Wow. Very exciting times.
And what are the abattoirs going to do? They're going to go back to them ones that are getting the best yield.
But it's giving the right data back to the farmer. See, I saw this a lot in the pig and where the P2 site was. Some pigs, depending on genetics, would have a low P2 site, but they'd be fat in other areas. But I think if you're X-raying, you're seeing which animals fat to meat.
And our role in that too is really important because we can go back and work with the producers in identifying those areas for improvement. Now, depending on where you are and your seasonal conditions, the type of pastures that you're working with and the animals that you're selecting for, it allows you to really unpack where the variation's coming from. How do you optimise your production? How are you making sure you're driving fertility, looking after the lambs, as well as achieving those outcomes? So over the hooks. So we've got to get a lot in. Again, the balance word comes up. It's a...
because it is.
You're managing the on-farm system as well. So there's a hell of a lot of factors at play.
But from that data, they can take that back and they can refine what they're doing, which helps them in the end because they're hitting that grid. So on a pricing grid, guys, you've got, depending on fat, weight, whatever, there's a small group that you want to hit.
Yes.
And that's where your money is. Outside of that group, you're getting penalised for fat, weight, butt shape, whatever.
That's right.
That data allows them to get them in that perfect grid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And grids last time. That like a grid price isn't something that is each day. A grid price is over like 3 months.
You do it 3 months or whatever your deal is with you.
So you want to hit it more times out of.
Well, it's like a shooting thing. You want a grouping. You don't want anything outside of that. That's costing you money. You want them all in that slot. Getting that data back to them and helping them with their genetics helps them get them in that slot.
Which is going to add value to their farm.
Which will help them profitability. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
Some of the most successful.
5 cents, 10 cents, 20 cents.
That's exactly right.
And it helps the processor or the wholesaler or the trader because it's consistent. Which the biggest thing we chase is consistency. That's more important than anything, I think.
Something on lambs, and this isn't really fair because I haven't given you any warning, which is how I roll.
Did you give us a warning on any?
No.
Doesn't matter.
I haven't even given you a warning on your questions. With the lamb, how, and we've noticed this at wholesale level, size. So what used to be a trade lamb was your sort of 18 to 22.
Yep.
18 to 21, 18 to 22. Now...
Well, it used to be 18 to 21.
Yeah.
That used to be your trade lamb.
What I want in a shop, I want a 24 to 25 because of that bigger eye. Have you found that
carcass weights are going
records?
up every year?
Yep.
So we're now seeing, it wasn't that long ago, average carcass weights were 21, 22 kilos.
Yes.
We're now at 25.
Yep.
And some of the real premium brands are chasing 32 plus because they want the big racks.
That's right.
But also it's opening up opportunities to then do more innovation on subprimaling the legs and taking out, just a smaller roast for, just a 2-person roast rather than having a 2 kilo leg and things like that.
Exactly.
Because that's the hard bit. When you go up in size on lamb, a lot of butchers will say this, but the legs are the problem then.
But what we've learnt with the legs, you take the chump off and then you can cut. If you've got a good sized lamb, like I'll even go, if I was in a shop now, I'd go up to a 26, 27.
I was going to say 25, 26. That's where I'd be.
They're in the slot. They're so consistent. They're beautiful lambs,
and they're fully filled out.
Yeah, but you hit that leg just between right where the tip of the top side bone is, and do 2 halves. Crack the shank on one. You do a good portion leg of lamb like that, and then you've got another one at the top with the shank cut. It's sensational.
Yeah, and you can roll out those little knuckles or the top side and then do your boneless leg. And it's opening up innovation opportunities. We were hearing from a chef that he was a bit nervous about the size of those chumps when he first got them. But then he worked out that he can do 3 neat portions rather than... On the smaller ones, he's sort of got 1 and a bit.
Yes.
Right.
So presentation-wise, on centre of plate, it's helping him as well. So working through those things is where we can continue to partner, and it's an education piece.
Yeah.
But carcass weights keep going up because we're just getting better, more efficient genetics.
Yeah. But them bigger lambs, your 3 most, let's go valuable primals out of that is your neck fillet, which is bigger and heaps more profitable, heaps better. You got your back strap.
Yep.
Heaps, everyone wants a larger back strap so they can do more with it. And then you've got your cutlet.
Yep.
They're all bigger, and they're all, so you're going to make more money out of them bigger lambs.
Yep.
I think
was even hearing of someone doing tomahawks out of lambs.
Yep. Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah. A bit of theatre around something on the bone.
And that's what a tomahawk is. It's more theatre than,
But what you do, you cut it, you do a double cutlet. So you scoop one bone out.
Yep.
And then you do double the width.
Yeah.
And then you
We did one at work.
Oh,
that'd be pretty good.
Yeah, they're good. They're really, really good.
Mick was talking about some of those leg primals, lambs, like your top sides and your knuckle, and they actually grill out of lamb, where in the beef program they won't grill. Like
Yep.
they actually eat really, really good in the lamb program. Like Professor Peter T, it's one of his
He did, yeah.
favourite lamb cuts. You can
Yeah.
grill a knuckle where in the,
The
beef.
knuckle. I was
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
I remember that podcast. He said
Yeah.
the best eating cut, or one of the higher eating
Yeah.
cuts is the knuckle. Whereas in
Yeah.
beef, if you did a round steak, you throw them on a barbecue, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, no.
But you think about them as a little 2-person roast too, like
Yes.
perfect little
What
portion.
I pull them knuckles out. So you got an easy carve, and then you pull the knuckle out, cut a little pocket in it, fill it up with spinach, feta, and string it up with the chicken thighs. It takes 2 seconds. They present unbelievable,
Nice.
and they eat so good as well.
Smaller households and
Yep.
older couples and
Yes.
things are looking for those that convenience. So there's
Yep.
less sort of
Less cook-
leftover
and-
eating these days.
And less cooking time.
An
Less
air fryer.
cooking time.
People are air frying. They're not doing the massive
Bloody
big
air
leg in
fryers.
the oven for 5 hours.
Yeah.
Mum doesn't have time because
No.
she's working now.
Yeah.
We didn't see that when we were kids. Like
right.
Mum was at home.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now it's air fryer, convenience, quick cook time.
Yeah. I've gone back to the slow cook leg. I've
Oh,
started
can't.
putting it on at the lunchtime and then you just walk away for the other. I actually find that bloody unreal. But you go for a bigger leg.
No one's ever
Got
asked
too many
me.
kids to feed.
No one's ever asked me yet, but I'll say it right now. My favourite cut of meat is a butterflied lamb leg. I take the knuckle out, I do the little roast, and then I do a butterflied lamb leg. You can't beat it. And you do it at 160 for an hour, or 140 to 160 for 2 hours. There is nothing better.
But I was like you. I had a few people to feed the other day. I got a whole lamb leg. Just dropped it in the slow cooker because I just couldn't be bothered. I did that in the morning. It came out. It had no help. It had not much put in there.
Yeah.
Came out. It was magnificent.
Yeah. I got a mate who
Simple,
calls himself,
easy.
He calls himself the Hogget Man, and he put me back onto the slow cooking,
Yeah.
and it's just sensational.
And the flavour stays in there.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
So good. I think we're up to our questions.
5 questions. So, guys, we're freestyling again today. We've got no sheets.
Yeah, I have. I'll steal these ones.
Pretend.
No, they're there, right there. 5 questions. Do you want to have a look? So you got some-
I no.
Beautiful.
Why break the trend now? Let's go with it off the cuff.
This should be called the Winging It podcast.
No, we sort of come up here today, guys, and we just thought we're just
Yeah.
going to, and the calibre of person we're talking to, we don't need sheets,
No, you
we'll
don't.
just freestyle it and see how we go.
Short and quick
And we get to
podcast.
learn.
Mick.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So good. All right, you ready?
Yes.
Who has been your biggest influences to date? Industry influences.
I'd have to say my father.
Yep.
Yep. My father and my uncle. They, when I was a kid, it was amazing what we were allowed to do.
Yeah.
Within, under their guidance, and that's how you learn. By
Absolutely.
having a crack.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Favourite cut of meat and how you cooking it?
Do you know my favourite cut is the oyster blade?
Oh, thank you.
He loves it.
I take that really awful silver skin where it's sitting against the scapular bone,
Yep.
and smoke it or slow cook it. The gristle
Problem.
turns to
just
jelly.
jelly. Oh.
Yeah. No
It-
problem.
it's the most underrated
I've-
cut in my view.
You've heard
I
this a
love it.
few times,
I
guys.
don't mind a flat iron either.
Heard it here
Flat
now.
iron.
But I like the slow cook oyster blade.
Oyster
I've
blade's
even
the
say-
ugliest steak.
It's the ugliest, most underrated cut. You've heard me say that over and over again. But I've even slow cooked them with that silver skin on, and it just peels off like fish.
Yeah.
skin.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
just-
You just don't want to try and eat it. That's all.
Oh no.
He gives that to the dog.
Yeah, but it's the most underrated cut. It's the
Yeah.
ugliest cut on the animal, but the most underrated.
Yeah.
Agree.
Absolutely. I won't ask you what the best thing about Western Australia is because this is Fussy's one.
I went on a holiday in Western Australia this year.
Yep.
I ran the Margaret River Ultra. So we went from I can't even remember the name of the little place where we started, but it's in the Margaret River region, just going up the coast, and finished at the wineries.
Did you have a look at any butcher shops over there while you're over there?
Did a few wineries.
And they had meat on the menu.
We spoke to Fussy.
I
Meats.
have spent a little bit of time in the West, particularly when I was running the MSA program, because Western Australia, actually one of the earliest adopters of MSA, became very standard in their grids over there, and they really embraced eating quality as a fundamental part of their industry. So I really have a soft spot for WA.
Is that because there's so many feedlotting over there is so big?
No, well, it's actually quite seasonal. Feedlotting is very different it fills a feed gap for them, and and the difference as well is that they're very domestic market focused.
Yep.
So that's the biggest difference. Yep. And they buy a lot of product from eastern states to fill
Yes.
their production gaps.
Yep.
But very very proud of their local production.
Yep.
And very, I mean, as you can imagine, WA is incredibly diverse.
Yes.
But it's a fascinating system.
Yeah. No, I just think Western Australia is really kicking goals. Like talking to Fussy, talking to Rump Shakers, talking to them guys over there, talking to NBL. They're just really, they're getting on board with what we're doing over here, and not only catching up, like they're equaling everything we're doing.
Oh, 100%.
They're doing such a good job over there.
Yeah,
Really,
awesome.
really good.
But I think social media too is connecting everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's once upon a time we had our little world over here, they had theirs over there, and you didn't you did on the phone and that as salesmen we did, but butchers talking to butchers
Yeah.
wasn't happening. You know?
It is now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Are you okay? MLA side of it. Are you finding that is happening as well? Like, are you finding that, like, feedback that you're getting, a lot of this social media and the World Butchers Challenge, the Butcher
sharing
Wars,
ideas.
how we're showcasing the end product is helping the MLA in any way? Like, is that helping promote the
Absolutely,
industry?
yes. And so we are very, very supportive of independent retail. It's been a very difficult position for us because when prior to social media, and you had to have people on the road visiting individual butcher shops, it was really difficult to sort of talk about the value proposition of doing that. Now we can scale programs and training and education through social media. We have our own butcher in-house, and we've got other contractors
Doug
that work
Piper.
with us. Dougie Piper.
Yeah, does a great job.
Rafael Ramirez in WA,
yep.
contracts to us.
Yeah,
and,
he's a ripper.
Greg Butler, Kelly Payne, those
Yep.
guys have done a lot of training. So, and we can scale that now through social media. And then also the way butchers engage with consumers is really helping tell that story. So it's very complimentary in that regard.
I just think butchering's becoming cool again. That's what we're trying to do, and I think
And
it's
people
actually
want to
happening.
know where their meats come from and love asking the butcher
And
those questions.
They're showcasing what they're doing.
Yep.
Like, they're showing the level of care that they're doing. Even their sausages and that, they're showing them as they're mixing it. This is what we put in. These are ingredients we're putting in. People are going, wow. You know?
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. And it's been a sector that's been under pressure. The supermarket growth has been challenging for them, but I think they've been able to differentiate themselves with those, value-added products with really deep understanding of the supply chain and where the product comes from, and telling that story, engaging every day with the customers, changing their displays. I mean, all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Yep. And the World Butcher Challenge just keeps challenging them to innovate and go to the next level.
For sure. Do you think, this is just my own opinion, I've said it on here 100 times, do you think, and you'd have the data to back it, supermarkets aren't as much of the enemy as what they were, let's say, 10 years ago to butcher shops, but now takeaways are the ones that we're up against, and that's why we're going to ready-cooked meals in shops. That's why we're going to kitchens in shops.
Convenience.
We're changing so much because on the way home at 5:30, Mrs. Jones is stopping in, and if she can take something that's already retail ready or cooked, or just throws in the air fryer for a little while, is taking on the takeaways. Like we're coming back.
It's a hard one to quantify, but where you see butcher shops is in high foot traffic areas, which is typically outside supermarkets or in shopping centres.
Yeah.
So it's not all bad. Supermarkets are retailing so many products that it's not their be all and end all. They do want to be profitable in their red meat space, and the butcher is often compared on price. But I think people also value service.
Yes.
And as people, I think COVID also got people cooking at home again.
Yep.
Oh, 100%.
yes.
Yep.
But, and you see it around the world. Like one of our staff in Japan was saying he doesn't have a kitchen in his apartment.
Oh, so many don't.
And
They're
so
starting to
that's
do
a
that
bit of a
in
trend
Sydney
here
even.
as well. So
Yes.
we are losing those skills, but COVID got people cooking at home again. So, and the engagement with food and wanting to know more about where their product comes from has got them back talking to butchers where they can get service and get advice and information. One of the things that has also changed, though, is in supermarkets and independent retail, is how cuts need to be cooked is how they're being displayed now. And that wasn't always the case.
Yeah.
So meant to be slow cooked, it's diced. If it's meant to be stir fried, it is in strips. If it's
Yep.
going to be, if you present something as a steak, people will grill it.
I
And
love
you've got to
that.
be really careful to make sure we're matching the cut to the cook method and displaying it that way.
I love that because, no, that's so true because what we used to do, let's say, whenever, we used to do round steak, we used to do top-side steak.
But they
we
were
used to do
slicing
blade
round steak.
That's right. because-
And people are
Steak.
buying
It
it
used to be
thinking
called
it's,
steak.
it's
And then
a
getting
steak,
disappointed.
a steak
Yeah.
cut, and they're taking it home going, oh, that was terrible.
Exactly. So they are changing that now. So there's no... I haven't seen a round steak or a top-side
No,
steak in a
for
window
years.
for God knows how long.
The
They're
only
already
one you
minute
see,
steaks.
they're minute steaks cut
Yeah,
really thin.
that's right.
You do see some chuck being presented as
Yeah.
a whole piece because people want to cut their own size dices.
Or they walk up and go, can you cut that for me? Yeah, no
Yep,
worries.
Yep. But there might be an extra sticker on it saying slow cook or
Yep.
something like that, just to make sure. But it does help. We can put recipe cards on
Yep.
in butcher shops as well, and all of that sort of stuff.
And it
We've got a
stops
whole
them,
lot of
it
recipes
stops them
online.
picking that up,
So
going,
true.
I can cook a steak out of that.
Yeah.
No, you can't. It says slow cook.
Yeah.
That's what it's for. It's
That's right.
It's topside. It's an eye round.
Yeah, it's that reminder
Yeah,
when you're
Yeah.
picking
because
it
some
up.
of them don't know, and I learned this when I was in retail. They come in, they don't really know what they just go for the same thing because they know what
Yeah.
they don't really know what that cut's for. You know,
No, that's exactly
or
right.
how to cook it. You know,
Yeah. Best part of the meat game for you?
Ooh, best part of the meat game. It has to be the people that I work with, and I'm not saying that just because Demi's sitting beside me.
I think you are. I think she just went, did you just elbow him?
Nah.
I think about all the people that I've worked with are the most memorable parts of any job that you have, and they make or break your day. And so, that's really rewarding. And as I've moved into more senior positions, it's more about how you get the most out of people than anything else. I spend more of my time managing people and their expectations and setting expectations. But a lot of the time when you set them up for success, they'll surprise you and go well beyond where you thought they could go. That is amazing to see that.
That's cool. Yeah, that's true.
that's awesome.
Very, very true. Very, very true. What is next for Mick Crowley?
What's next? Well, look, I feel
Hopefully
like
much the same.
I feel like I've bitten off a fair bit and I'm chewing pretty hard. So I certainly loving my time in the role at MLA. My brother and I have got some pretty big plans for our family business as well. So I think there's a longer term future on the land for me and hands-on. I love that side of it. But I'll certainly be trying to make the very most of the opportunity I have at MLA as well.
Awesome. That's us.
Very good.
Yeah, good.
Thanks, boys. Appreciate you coming to Armidale.
Nah, we're happy to be here.
I only
Appreciate
ju-
you coming on.
I only
Yeah,
just got off the
absolutely.
plane, but I
Yeah.
know you guys started work at 2:30 this
Yeah.
morning,
Yeah,
loading
yeah.
trucks. So
Yeah.
So Mick literally
really
just
great.
flew in, guys. He flew in an hour ago, basically.
Yeah, started talking to us.
Started talking to us.
So cool. Thank you so
happy
much.
to do it.
Appreciate you coming on, Mick.
No worries, lads. Thank you.
Thank you.
He just popped in for a quick chat.
And a beer.
I just happened to be at a brewery that my mate owns, so it's not bad.
Not a bad spot to be.
How good is it?
Not a bad
It's
spot
unreal.
to be. Temperature's perfect. It's going to be a good night.
And we better fill another one up.
No, definitely.
Righto?
Righto, guys, we're going to wrap it up there. We'll touch base again on Thursday for a normal Thursday yarn. Bye for now.
Bye for now.
Boots on the concrete, blood on the steel. I'm talking about a life that's raw and real. From the paddock to the plate, it's more than a trade. Sweat, grit, and muscle, how legends are made. It ain't just work, it's a way of life. Cut deep like a boning knife. Welcome to the Meat Game Podcast, where the bulls run wild and the stories last. Country boys, butchers, and cowboys too, running hard on the truth like we always do. Raise your glass, crank it loud, make it blast. This is the Meat Game Podcast.